Welcome to Made in Ely, where we talk to local businesses about what they do and where they do it. Today we're with Luke and Rob from Studio Nova. Hi guys, how are you doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. To kind of get things rolling, just tell us who you are, where you are in Ely and what you do.
We're Studio Nova, we're a design company, design-led, branding, websites, advertising, anything creative. So the whole point is we can turn what we want into ideas and thought, and that's the whole point of creativity. It's having an idea and then working out the best way to produce it.
And how did the business come about, kind of in the first place? What kind of made you want to go and do it on your own?
A long time ago in a different millennium, in a galaxy far, far away, I started my own business, and during that time, I took on work experience. I think it's really important to give young people an exposure to what we do and how to do things properly, as in no fear and make mistakes and challenge yourself and push yourself and don't be afraid to make mistakes, which is the opposite of school.
Yeah.
And Lucas was one of those students, and they some stand out, and we always cherry pick and get the right type of people. And it's quite nice that over time, I think we did over about 50. I think about 50.
I think I was with you in about 2006. So
Yeah.
we're still talking quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I knew when I left school that I wanted to still go into the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, even before I did the work experience with Rob, I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. So when I left school, I started my own agency, did that for quite a few years. And then we met up, didn't we, at the the Business Awards?
Business Awards, yeah.
When they used to hold it at the Cathedral. And
Yes.
I think this was the last one before COVID, whatever that is, if we can all remember that.
Yeah.
Because we won, or my previous company won Dynamic. We won an award, and then bumped into Luke, and sort of a few beers later.
So I think I was there.
Why don't we work together?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were like, we should do something, but because we were literally opposite ends of the street doing the same thing for different clients.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is an opportunity that we can't afford to miss.
Yeah.
So obviously then COVID happened, and we got out when we could, sitting on a park bench having a can of beer, and we thought, let's chuck it in a pot and see what happens. And that was 2021.
Yeah, and to me, it's like I talked for years about starting my own business, and Rob's home studio was a legend, and I had sort of like freelance work kicking around. And I think this is the hardest thing with anybody starting a new business. You feel that you're literally looking at the Grand Canyon, but in reality, it's getting back to the Last Crusade. It's just that leap of faith. You just got to take a step. Yeah. And then once we did it, and then we realised that what we got to lose with combining clients, combining expertise, it was essentially just a crack in the pavement. But in our minds, I think we just create these huge barriers where we feel that, oh my God, I can't do this. And having stepped over that mark to do my own business, I felt that, to me, it's a no-brainer, but it's not as easy as that. I think you've got to get it psychologically in your head.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, totally agree with that. It was same here. Kind of, it was that whole we had a decision, a couple of years ago. We always knew I wanted to go into my own business, in some capacity, and then meeting the right people, having the right conversations, and like you said, there's just a time when you have to go. I can sit down, I can write the numbers down 1,000 times and look at them and analyse them and everything else. And one day it's the best idea ever. The next day, how are we going to week, kind of thing. And sometimes, like you said, you've just got to take that leap and go for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But schools aren't churning people out like that, are they? They're churning out worker bees.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not queen bees. So I think I don't think it will ever change. I mean, we're still teaching people in Victorian times. 30 people in a class.
Exactly.
We will look at this and follow this. So those entrepreneurial schools, not necessarily entrepreneurial, people having a path and being not afraid to do it, I think is really important.
Yeah. I think follow your passion. It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, especially when they come out of school, like you said, that we're kind of trained from that young age that what we have to do is we work hard in school, we do well in exams so we can then get a well-paid job working for somebody else and basically doing the same thing, but this time we get paid and then we go on until we die, essentially. Yeah. Whereas there are people out there that just aren't wired to work that way. And
we're all different.
Exactly. Yeah. I think my favourite analogy is whenever anyone asks like why we do this kind of thing here as well, is that I always describe myself as an outdoor cat. As in like I've done freelance and self-employed and run my own businesses, and I've worked for big companies and everything else. I've always found I'm at my unhappiest when I'm working for somebody else.
Yes.
Not because I don't like being told what to do. It's more the fact that it's that constant having to kind of justify and validate my existence.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You kind of feel like you're constantly doing that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have the kind of the mindset to say, I can do it myself, I want to do it myself and everything else,
Absolutely.
it just goes better and it makes you feel better about your day as well. And hopefully, things just go they need to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. So so you say you start 2021. How have you found the last kind of 5 years, and what were those early growing pains like, if there were any?
It wasn't technically growing pains. It was more a case of knowing from my experience that a lot of the time, I was a small company. It was 3 of us, and we worked with quite sort of large, and sometimes sort of global corporations. So we were batting with the big boys, but ultimately, in the back of somebody else's mind, we're only a small company, and you definitely sometimes felt that they would like to give you more work, but they just don't understand that you could have the capacity to do it. Whereas it's quite easy. I can draft in extra hands, or think a bit quicker. So when we combined the 2 businesses, what we then found was the companies that were already our clients then realised that we can give you more work.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely the case, wasn't it? They caught on that. Oh, right, so you got two teams, 2 levels of experience, 2 lots of ability coming under one roof. So suddenly they were like, oh, we can give you this project and that project. So actually, the growing side of it kind of came quite naturally. Yeah. I think maybe the biggest thing was sort of trying to bring everything under one roof in terms of logistics and obviously the paperwork that comes with it, the boring stuff. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it's been personally the best decision that I ever made. I'm hopefully you'd agree, Rob.
Totally. I mean, there's a few roles in place I probably should not have taken, but there you go.
We all have to, don't we, to kind of get the ball rolling. That's the thing. And
exactly. I mean, I think as I said, one of the key elements of that was also embracing new technology. Obviously, I'm technically 1 foot in the grave here, but. Don't be afraid. So we embrace new stuff. So Luke's is now picked up all the WordPress stuff. So we've got 2 WordPress people who can work on things. I picked up the video work. So as well as both of us, shooting film and video, I can now shoot video. Also, more importantly, cut and edit it together. But so that's just getting the program out and having a play, but in a proper way. So I think you do have to embrace new things.
Yeah, totally,
100%. Yeah,
I think. It's more the adaptation, I think, as to we're very much driven by what clients need, and that has changed over the last 5 to 6 years that we've been Studio Nova, but I think that's what sort of allows you to continue to grow is that adaptation.
Yeah,
but also have fun. We want to have a laugh at work. I mean, the people that we employ and get, we've had a new graduate start with us now for 2 months, George.
Not quite. I think it's about 6 weeks.
Yeah. So we want it to fun. We want it to be creative and fun, and also break that barrier of this is not a test. This is not a thing. We want you to. It's okay to get something wrong. We want you to push yourself, but also grow. I want because we want her to be independent and understand and be able to think for herself, because then it's one project we don't have to be involved with, which is the key thing. So we want to be able to trust and rely on her. So it's giving someone that confidence to say, you're not here just to sort of fluff out the corners. You're here to be part of the team. You're on the team list every week. So you're not on the bench and you come on now and again. You are you've got to be here, and we want to be able to just hand stuff to you and us go, wow. We don't need to do any work on this. You've done a great job. Brilliant.
Yeah. And have you found giving them that kind of confidence at the start has helped kind of your employees will kind of develop and grow a lot quicker and smoother because they're not constantly feeling the pressure of, oh God, if I mess up, Rob's going to come down on me. And
exactly. I mean,
which will probably be the case in a more corporate environment.
Yeah, totally.
It's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Zach's with us for 3.5 years. He's now moved up to Manchester. We've helped him, look for a job and get and work what his ideal new position would be. But in a similar way, it was a bit like we'd give them longer on projects. We'd push them to say, well, for us, it's either 2 ways. It's good or crap. But in a nice way. So like, when we say it's crap, don't worry about it. It just means it's not working. So let's do something good now.
Yeah.
That's part of the process. You can't always be, being good.
I think there's a huge misconception around the creative industry and people being creative. It's very subjective. And obviously when people do stuff themselves, they think it's the best thing they've ever done. And that's fine. But when we're doing it for clients, obviously, if we think it's great, that's not going to cut the mustard for the project.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's got to be right for the project. It's got to be right for whatever we're doing for that sector, that industry, etc.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that people maybe struggle to get their head around at first.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, nothing is good because you just spent time on it.
Yeah.
Unless obviously we've done it for you, then it's brilliant. But that's a good one. And we try and teach them that as well. That, just because you spent all day in it, there was a phrase, as we know, polishing something. But it's very appropriate, though, isn't it? Because you're struggling to do something, but then you just think, I spent all day on this. And I gave my daughter India a massive lesson. Gave her a biro at sort of 14, 15. She's gone on to leaps and bounds with it. But the whole idea was, if you spent all day drawing something and it's not right, chuck it in the bin.
Yeah.
Just have that confidence. Don't go, oh my God, I spent all day on it.
Yeah.
And it creates a harder edge to you, that you have more of a creative eye to go, yeah, that's not working. And I think you need that as a creative. You can't just go, well, I've done all this, spent all my days on this. It's wonderful. We will do the overnight test. Which might involve a pub, but come back in the morning and then go, yeah, 2 of those don't look great.
Yeah.
So we'll can that one. Or what usually happens, I've got a better idea.
Yeah.
So, I think that's really important to just stand back, look at what you've got and think, oh God, let's just be subjective. If someone did this to me, would I be super happy?
Yeah. Well, it's like, the stuff that ends up on the cutting room floor, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's more on the floor than there is in the actual final output.
Yeah. That's usually me on Netflix, mate. Don't worry.
And have you found this has been really helpful, this kind of approach to your work, as opposed to some of the larger players that you're kind of up against, that your clients are seeing that kind of more boutique approach to things and they appreciate that more, instead of going for a massive client of their producer of theirs that's got these huge teams that can just churn out work when they need it?
Well, you're right. I mean, they're the classic sort of, I think the 70s, I can't remember the name of the person, it might have been Paul Rand, I can't remember, but, the best idea is the one the client chooses.
Yeah.
So if you think about it logically, that's the one they've paid you for. So in the world of advertising, we're not, we're creators, but we're not fine artists.
Yeah.
We are doing a service for somebody else. So as much as, we put forward some 3 or 4 ideas and, we really want to go for this one, the best idea is the one ultimately they go, we really like that. So ultimately you've done your job.
Yeah.
And if it's not necessarily the one you wanted, it doesn't really matter because they're happy. You fulfilled what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So when you take it from that point of view, it's a far easier way to work.
Yeah.
Because we're not precious.
Yeah.
So.
No.
And I think that's again something that we'll always try and teach anybody that works with us is you can't be precious over your idea.
Yeah.
As soon as you're precious, it's like you hold on to that and that it becomes a bit of a negative aspect to the project.
Yeah, and like you said, the client's always right.
Exactly.
So no matter how much you love what you've done, it's not to the.
And obviously, we're there to advise and guide clients as best we can. But I mean, just going back to your point of with us versus larger agencies, I think we do tend to find that. I mean, we had a meeting with a client yesterday, didn't we? And they love the fact that they're speaking to us, the people doing the work, not an account manager or an account handler. And that's something that we definitely do try and push and promote to clients that we're not a large agency, but even when you look at larger agencies of like 10 to 15 members of staff, they've still only got 5 designers or 5 creatives working on those projects, whereas we've got 4 or 5 guys. We're all doing the work, so you're speaking to the people doing that and getting a direct answer rather than it trying to be relayed down a chain and ultimately getting miscommunicated.
And I think it's a common theme with a lot of smaller agencies where I came from a sort of larger agency background where we had account handlers and you're dealing with, not necessarily in front of the client. It was always my desire at this company to say, look, I need to be in front of the client because having me in a brief means I will ask different questions to what somebody else is asking. And because the people, when they're briefing, they want to be helpful. But they don't realise that if you tell a designer, well, I like circles and orange, then when you get a load of concepts in circles and orange, you can't then turn around and say, yeah, but all you've done is just do what I've told you. So one, that's, to me, that's just a bad designer. So, but if that designer's not in the meeting, he doesn't know that. So you've got to understand that people just want to help because they think they're going to give you an idea. It's our job to say, look, the first stage, like what we always do, is like, well, this is the time to do something bonkers if you want. Let's try something that doesn't work because sometimes you need to show something that doesn't.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Yeah. And how have you found being kind of located where you are? Obviously, we're in a smaller, more rural location compared to other agencies that are based in larger cities. Have you found that's kind of played to your advantage, or the other way? Have you ever had any kind of obstacles around the location?
I mean, I'd say maybe a bit of both, to be fair. I mean, I think, again, COVID, not that I want to talk about it too much, but I think that changed a lot of perceptions.
Yeah.
The in-person meetings don't happen as much as they used to. Clients are a bit more confident, I think, about buying services from companies that aren't just round the corner or in the larger cities. But at the same time, being based in Ely, we've got brilliant train connections, we've got brilliant road connections. So we can easily go down and see clients in London, in Peterborough, in Huntingdon, wherever they might be.
Although, conversely, we had a new client just literally out of the blue on Friday, and they said, "Oh, we're in Norwich, so we're near you." So local is a perception.
Yeah.
Because we're East Anglians,
Yeah.
we? So clearly that works in our favour.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I think, with the uptake on Teams and all that sort of thing, it's easier for us to jump on a call now with a client that is 60, 70, 80 miles away, and that not be an issue. Because we can, everything, most of the things we do are digital, if not print, whereas all the files are being transferred digitally. So we can easily go through stuff with clients remotely. And obviously being based in Ely, we don't have as big overheads as somewhere in like Cambridge or London, which does obviously help us keep our costs a bit more competitive.
Yeah, and particularly we go to London for sort of network meetings, and you're chatting with people there, and they're sort of like when you tell them that, well, I walk into work with my dog and walk back.
So they get a bit jealous of that, don't they?
There's no hour-long commute on the underground.
The thing is, I've never commuted because I'm a forces kid, so we never lived near school in Germany. So I would be out at 7, home at 6. Hour and a half on a bus, hour and a half back. It was good because I could do homework and revise.
Yeah.
But I always thought, when I work, I can't do this. And my first job in London, lived in Stoke Newington, worked at Old Street. I used to cycle, bought an old battered bike, and used to cycle to work. So I even avoided it in London, and then moved up here. And we used to work down by the building was at Babylon Bridge, the agency. So we lived at the top of Lyle Lane, so I could walk. That was my commute. So so it's I think quality of life on that is really important, and I do feel for people who have to do 2-3 hour commutes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. And how have you found kind of just being in Ely in general with the business, with community support and working with local business as well as your kind of ones further afield? Have you found it's a good place to be?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We always say, we say it quite often, is the business environment in Ely, obviously we don't have it, I don't have anything to compare it to, but it seems like none other. There's such good support around. And we do a lot of work with local companies, and I think a lot of people are surprised at the breadth of industries and businesses that we work with, both local, national and global. But, what we do, we can tailor to literally anything and anybody.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a good place to do business.
Yeah, we found the support here from most businesses. Everyone seems to be very happy to, like you said, to help.
To lend a hand or lend some advice.
It doesn't feel like the kind of places where everyone's out kind of competing against each other and things like that. It seems a lot more like a collaborative town than anywhere else.
Absolutely.
I've been before, so.
Yeah.
Good. And kind of going back to the creative approach and those processes kind of things, I'm guessing no two jobs are the same. But with kind of what you do, what is kind of your ideal kind of the process from start to finish? From the idea to the finished piece with the customer. What's the process there?
Well, I'm sort of usually about 1,000 ideas a second type thing. So if I'm sat, we even had this meeting this week, and I sat down without a notepad, and I was getting twitchy. So even just a client talking about who they are, we really, and it's really, really important. We want to understand everything about that company that we're working for. It's vital. It's called the most vital. So we come from a lucky environment where we deal with so many different types of businesses. We know so much useless information. We'll be great in a quiz team. Because I do that. And I think that was really important. So as soon as they start talking, I had to run off and get my pad and get my ink pen out and start writing ideas down, because immediately I'm starting to formulate lines and ideas and concepts to help them get over what they want to do. So I think that's the most important thing. Is research. who you're working for, but more importantly, who their clients are. I mean, we've had clients who say we need to be on Instagram, we need to be this, we need to be that, and we're like, your clients aren't on there.
Yeah.
Oh no, but we've heard it's really good. And so, but your clients aren't on there. So who are you doing it for?
Yeah.
So it's understanding, like where their clients come from and how to communicate to them. I think is vital.
Well, it's something that I've always said to our clients is, you're our client, but ultimately your client is our client because we're designing for them, not necessarily for you. So, while clients might have a personal choice and a personal taste, obviously we can advise and be like, we don't really feel like that's going to work for you or the sector, etc. But it's I think the creativity comes from those ideas, and not being afraid. There's no such thing as a bad idea, and it's not being afraid to put that down on paper or just scribble some notes down,
Although the director of football at Southampton telling people to spy for them potentially is a bad idea. Yeah.
But no, it's definitely we've experienced here with the kind of being a startup and getting kind of the ball rolling and trying to get the word out. It's always that, where do we focus our marketing?
Yeah, totally.
And do we go for kind of social media? Do we do kind of more organic marketing, or do we even go out and knock on doors?
Yeah.
And obviously the big thing these days is obviously social media is always is key for everyone. But the thing I always try and drill into people's heads is that it doesn't matter how many thousands of followers you have on something like Instagram.
Yeah.
If you've got 10,000 followers, but 9,999 of them don't live in the area, they're no use to us. We don't sell a physical product, we sell a service.
Yeah.
So unless you're in Ely or the surrounding area, you're not going to come
And
here.
I mean, one of the big things that we've been saying to a lot of people recently, a lot of clients, is when they say, we're going to post on social media and do this, do that. And it's like, but that's not advertising. That's posting on social media.
Yeah.
If you're posting on your Instagram account and you've only got a couple of hundred followers, only a couple of hundred followers are going to see that content.
Yeah. At some point.
Yeah.
So unless you're boosting it, unless you're promoting it and actually paying to advertise on those platforms, it's going to be a real slow burner.
Yeah.
Because we did have a client saying that they're paying for someone to do their social media. And then we said, well, with that budget, you could run a £300 a month advert on there.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you find those conversations sometimes? Because I know a lot of people, they get the idea, well, I saw X has done this, so therefore we need to do it as well.
Yeah.
And I can imagine it'd be quite difficult to kind of go, yes, but...
Well, we're just honest.
Yeah.
We want to just keep honest advice. So we say, look, not really for us, but I don't think this is a good way for you to spend your budget. It's up to you.
Yeah.
You're making the calls. But you need to understand, if you want to reach out and reach this, you need to do this. And I think a lot of our first meetings are like that, because we're just honest and just say, right, okay, you want this, you want that. Well, we don't think that's going to quite work. You should probably think about doing this. So because we feel we want to help people, not necessarily just go in there and take their money and run.
Yeah, totally.
Of course.
Because we don't want to do that. I can't be. There's no interest in saying, we'll do your social media for 3 months, knowing that it's absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to do what they need to do. So we say, well, if you're trying to get X more customers, or you're trying to reach out to these people, then there are other ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And I think, like anything, like any advertising medium, there isn't a one-stop shop. You've got to do a little bit of everything.
Well, it's not called the marketing mix for nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of it's just trial and error.
Yeah,
Isn't
of course
it?
it is.
As well. You find out what does work, what brings the people in, and go from there. And I assume kind of you having that much more consultative and honest approach has helped retain customers longer term than setting, like you said, you could just take the money and run for one job and never go back. But
I think particularly with smaller companies, because you feel like they don't have much budget, so we'd either say that we can't really do this for you, not because of the budget, because I think you need to be doing this, but that's really what we'd like to offer or show people, that it's not about that. It's about giving someone advice first and then making them make that conscious decision. Easiest way.
That's the only thing we can do, really.
Yeah.
And how have you found kind of the balance between kind of the creativity and commercial aspect of things, where you kind of you've got a project or a brief and you know what you want to do, but the customer wants to go down a more kind of either corporate approach or something that just doesn't quite fit in with how you'd want to do it? How do you manage those kind of situations?
I think you manage it just by showing them. So you can show them that, okay, we can try this and do this, and this is how it looks. And then I think 9 times out of 10, oh yeah, that you were right. That looks so much better.
What you said makes sense.
Because I think
It's almost like you're experts or something.
because sometimes people need to see it, and I think if they are, if someone's being very fastidious about something, I think it's our job to say, well, okay, look, we'll do that as well, because we need to. Because you can't just dismiss it and say, oh no.
Yeah.
Blue is June. We are now cerise in April. I mean, it doesn't work that way. You've got to sort of doff your cap a little bit and show them going down their road. But then usually you can then create something better, and then they'll go, yeah, you were right. But that's the role.
And that kind of comes back to the whole idea of of providing concepts to clients. And no matter what project we're doing, whether it's a branding exercise, whether it's an advert, whether it's a website, we'll always provide a range of concepts that have slightly different, design routes to them, just so the client can see this one, that one, or the other. Something like they've suggested, something what we'd suggest, and maybe then a left field one. But yeah, I think for us, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's from the client side of things. I know it can be quite tricky when they're emotionally attached to something they've had previously.
Yeah.
So, for example, we obviously done all our branding and everything here, and we like it.
Yeah.
But we're not the customer; we're the host.
Yeah.
And we know that at some point we'll need to get someone like yourselves to come in and tart things up and make it all the better. And I know there's going to be a part of me that when they show us a brief and go, "This is what we've done," and how good this is, I'm going to go. Yeah, but I did the first one. I really like it. And it's then trying to get that kind of emotional side taken away. And
absolutely.
Just business.
Yeah. But that's again, growing pains for you guys, the scalability of it, of going from this to that. Where do you want to, and this is again, something that we do tend to say quite often is branding in particular isn't who you are now. It's where you want to be in 3, 4, 5 years time.
Yeah.
You got to be thinking ahead.
Yeah, which is the classic phrase, isn't it? It's not who you are, it's who you want to be.
Yeah.
Which is why all the top brands, Coca-Cola and all these people, and Nike still advertise. Why are they still advertising? They got, Coke, got bigger budget than 3/4 of the world. But it's still reminding and reinforcing, because if they didn't, in 3 months' time, people would forget. So we are pretty much goldfish.
Yeah.
Was it what Coca-Cola once said? They wouldn't stop advertising until they had a third tap in every house, and that was pouring Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Well, if they get more people on the Senate, they'll probably they'll pass that as a bill in the States.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Give it time.
Exactly.
So keep going back. Sorry to the first big project you took on as Studio Nova, and then where you are now. Kind of how did the two compare to kind of what early on to that, and what did you learn in the process?
It's hard to remember the first big project because I've slept since then. But also it was for the actual process of becoming Studio Nova was quite a natural thing. It wasn't like one day we just switched over to this. It was kind of an amalgamation of everything into one. And obviously, some projects last years. We've been working on some for the last sort of 2 or 3 years, and they're still ongoing now. So it's I can't actually remember the biggest defining project.
The big projects were the sort of the Power On website and Metropolitan and Passive. They were sort of large,
corporate,
multi-million-pound corporate beasts, where again working together had meant that the brand manager and marketing director at that time could then realise that, oh my gosh, we don't need to use a London agency to build, because they had about 6-7 businesses, and each business was they were construction infrastructure sites, so massive, and they just buying up and buying companies. So it was a case of demonstrating them that as there's 4 of us, that she could have confidence that we could then pick up this. Large corporate, and we could choose, and also give them the confidence, because sometimes it's very difficult to be in the country and choose colours that aren't, because we're not a London agency, so we wouldn't know what's trendy. But also, again,
surely you haven't got a Shoreditch postcode.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to grow a goatee, but it's terrible. But we now drink cappuccinos.
Yes.
But again, going back to that though. You will have somebody who'd rather pay double. Would rather pay 50K for a corporate website because they're using an agency with a name.
Yeah.
Because it's really about job protectionism. So if it goes wrong, if it's something it doesn't quite work, or the boss is not happy, the person who's commissioned it can say, well, look, we've employed one of the top agencies in London, and that is a big perception. So it
still happens now. Yeah, it definitely still happens now.
Yeah, it takes a brave brand manager to go, well. It's not about, how many sort of, cappuccinos you've got and how many goatees you've got working in the studio.
And if you've got a pool table in your office.
Or your bean bags or all that sort of stuff. It's really about, I trust these guys. And, because we're like, I think we did sort of have to trust to say, look, it will be fine. It will be fine. And we will be twice as fast, twice as responsive.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't matter to them. We will be half the budget, which actually they did say, well, actually, you might need to increase your budget because you can't go in at this price because
we'll
then
get questioned.
I'll get questioned. So that is perception. And I knew that story from years ago. Someone who was trying to do a corporate report on accounts for a Cambridge college. Right. And for 2 or 3 years they failed. And then eventually the brand manager said, look, just double your quote. Because, what's happening is they're looking at the top, looking at the bottom and going in the middle. And you're way at the bottom and someone's way at the top. So the middle person's getting it all the time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't based on that other than can they really choose a right colour for that amount of money? So it's just but that's called getting the balance right. So that was the big project. And then we did that one big website and then which led to another one. So it sort of moved on. And then we got into video work and, so it was then a case of learning two new technologies. And so, but we would never say we can do something if we can't.
Yeah.
Full stop. It's a bit like, if we needed some help on that, we would say we can do this project, but we will be getting in X, Y, Z. So we'll be employing a videographer or we'll be getting an animator.
Yeah, just being transparent from the
start.
Exactly.
Yeah, transparency is probably quite a big value for us.
Yeah, the job is important. We want to keep all the money to ourselves.
Yeah.
And do a bad job. I want to do a good job, and if that means half the budget goes to somebody else, so be it. I want a good job at the end of it.
Yeah. And how have you found kind of having to say either learn or bring people in for those as trends and kind of patterns are changing as we move along with more video and things like that? Have you found that you're kind of it's been a relatively streamlined transform into that, or have you found that
I think
it is just easy to get someone else in?
I think we've got stuck into new technologies. I mean, Luke does a lot of stuff on the Google and on the side, and has learned so much, and is like, I've got no idea what it is on that. And conversely, I get stuck into Premiere Pro and do video work and editing and filming and cutting. I do a lot of sort of drama and TV extra work. So I sort of feel that having spent 10 years on film sets and I can see how the process works. That's my cultural experience. But you use all that and like we put it all together. And I think it's just, as I said, picking up new technologies and not being afraid is the key thing.
Yeah. And not being afraid to ask for help with somebody.
Exactly.
That's always the best way. Stick your hand up and say, how do you do this? I mean, we still do it in the office. We'll run ideas out, stick them on. I'll come in and stick a load of stuff on the board and say, tell us what you think
of this? Yeah.
And be, and I want everyone to be honest, not, oh, it's really nice. No, if it's a pile of steaming something, then say.
Yeah.
But hopefully I wouldn't be doing that on the wall.
Well,
that's a whole new conversation for something else.
So what's kind of the biggest challenge or lesson that you've learned kind of to get to here today? And then what do you think is kind of the next thing that could be a headache or could be a problem that you're already trying to combat?
I would say potentially one of the biggest challenges we've had over the last couple of years, and there's a reason why we've not done it really prior to this, was tendering.
That's always difficult as a small business.
The public sector tendering process is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
There was one particular project that we'd worked on this project several years prior. It came round to be redone. We were invited to tender for it. I think we ended up submitting about a 60 or 70 page document with all sorts of examples, including the project that we'd already done for these guys. All sorts of testimonials and backup information and insurance policies and this, that, and the other. And it probably took us about 2.5, 3 weeks to put this document together. Yeah. Obviously, it then goes through the process of being analysed and critiqued by an independent panel. And we didn't get the job based on some...
a point system, I think.
A point system.
Out of 7 sectors, we scored top in 6.
Yeah.
But then, weirdly, not as very well in one, and it was just like, oh God.
Yeah, and it went to an agency the other side of the country, and it's like, well, we'd put a lot of time and effort into it, and that kind of just completely switched us off of the process.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, larger companies can afford the time. They'll have sales teams.
So they've got bid writers and things like that as well.
Everything's there, and they'll be doing 2, 3, 4, 5 a month. So it's a sort of the tendering process does make your heart sink because as a small agency, as a small company,
we just don't have the resources to be able to commit the time to do it.
And the time you do put in, you can't get back.
You can't get back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we was asked a few years ago by a well-known Cambridge Building Society who contacted us direct. asked us to tender, and then we sort of they dropped us out because our key man policy wasn't up to date.
Yeah.
So I had to sort of send a reply saying, "We're just doing marketing for you.
Yeah.
We're just doing marketing.
It's not a
for
life
you.
and death situation.
So if something happens to me, there's going to be plenty of people that could, but that was a sort of like, really?
Yeah.
But that's how it works. So it's sometimes things are, and it's creativity. You stick, Dali, Picasso, Manet, Man Ray on the wall, you get 20 people in, some people will hate one and love the other.
Yeah.
You can't say out of all of these, which is the best piece of art.
Yeah. So I'd say that's probably one of the biggest challenges we've faced.
We try not to just try to avoid them. Well, we don't do them. So. That's the avoidance territory.
Yeah. Again, the joys of being a small agencies, you have that flexibility to say, actually, no, I don't want to do that, or yes, I do, which is good.
And we are very lucky in that respect that we can sort of not pick and choose, but we're fortunate enough to be busy enough to work on the stuff that we want to work on.
Yeah,
I think probably the hardest challenge is clients understanding what we can do, because pretty much everyone is pigeonholed. We're all typecast in life. You are pigeonholed to a certain degree, and I had for years and years. I used to do packaging for a client. They did loads of brands in B&Q, and it was nice work. I really enjoyed it. And then one day I was just chatting with the client over breakfast, and it wasn't like that. It was just a breakfast meeting. And it was a case of talking about, we're just doing this annual report. And she was like, oh my God, I'm having real trouble doing our sort of technical manual. Do you do those sort of things? It's like, well, yes, we do. And anyway, fast forward, a year and a half later, it won a Reba award for the document, which I take quite pride in. It wasn't the client's content. The actual document won a Reba award for architectural manuals, which sounds really paint-dryingly dull. But it was.
I assume it's framed off the fireplace.
You've got to keep your awards. And but again, it was us knowing how to do things, delivering a document that architects needed and wanted, because we actually went out and chatted to about half a dozen architects of how they would want their manual presented, going back to the client saying, I think you're wrong. I think it needs to be this format and it needs to be like so. And then that was the thing that weirdly stood out. And they, the client was very happy. They won an incredible award. For them, bless them.
Yeah.
But that's our job. That's doing your job right. So
and maybe that is another thing that's a difficulty for us, is actually getting clients to understand the breadth of stuff that we can do, because there is so much that we do. Yeah. And obviously it's all on the website, but your existing client base doesn't go to your website because they already come to you direct. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, like last year we produced sort of a nicely perfect bound quality coffee table style brochure, we call it, that we now hand out to clients to say, look, we can do more. We've got clients that have always come to us for photography or for print work, and it's like, oh, I didn't realise you did websites. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I mean, current workloads are bonkers. I mean, we've got a couple of exhibitions coming up. We got some truck livery. We are doing a corgi toy graphics and branding. We are doing
custom box for the toy as well.
Oh, wow.
Branding a website for a forensic company in Cambridge. Yeah. So the work is massively varied, and you've got to have that ability to, 1 minute. I mean, I've just pinged off a load of Shakespeare posters and graphics that are for the Shakespeare Towers this year. So you come in and you bat out a few little jobs, and then we're doing some I'm doing some adverts later for a food wholesale company. Yeah. So you've got to be able to just turn a switch on your head. Yeah. But every little work is different, and it's very difficult because the company doing wholesale adverts won't understand that. We need something really creative for an exhibition. They're probably thinking, well, these guys only do one thing. Yeah. So sometimes, it's always good to try and explain the variety of stuff you do. Yeah. Otherwise, the only thing you can only do one job.
Yeah.
So you kind of briefly touched on that just now, but with what's next for Studio Nova? What's the next thing on the horizon that you can talk about, or any other plans? Not just projects and customers, kind of business wise.
Well, we've got Download Festival in a few weeks. Yes. That's going to be a bit of fun. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a sort of strange thing. You can't necessarily plan in 6 months' time. We're going to be working with this client. All we can do is promote ourselves, market ourselves within the budget that we've got, and how we know how to do it. Yeah. And be responsive. So hence, we literally had an inquiry on Friday
It was
web
about
inquiry.
3:30 in the afternoon on Friday, and we were like, "Oh, this is a decent inquiry." Actually.
So we got back immediately.
Yeah.
They got back immediately. Long story short, it's now Thursday and we're doing a job for them.
Fantastic.
And it's having that, I think that as a small business, it's having that personal responsibility. And they then said they'd looked at larger agencies.
Yeah.
And they just didn't feel a connection. And then weirdly, they said what impressed us was that within half an hour of them sending a query through the website, we'd actually got back with a load of questions. As in not just, yes, we can, here's a cost. Yeah. We're always like, well, what are you trying to do? So I think they understood us straight away. We had some meetings. And as we said, they're like, oh, you guys are like, local, which is...
Yeah.
I think that's it really. So I think work more on that. There's only so much you can do. I mean, that's why the larger brands, the bigger companies can chuck 6 figures at advertising. And particularly I've worked a lot with brands over the years. And the smaller brands struggle. I mean, I designed all the Poppet sweet packaging years ago, and trying to get them in. They're salespeople trying to get them into a little corner shop where the big three literally take out 90% of the front counter.
Yeah,
is very, very difficult. And I think as small agencies, we're always going to be in that boat. We can't drop an advert in Velvet magazine each month.
Yeah.
We can't, there's a finite amount that we can do. So what we've got to do, we've got to be really lean with it and work out that what we're getting best value for.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Which is going to be everyone. Any small business is going to be like, this is our budget we've got.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
Yeah.
And it's been exactly the same here. It's just early days for us. Like I said before, it's that trial and error. What marketing approach is working for us? Where are the right eyes falling on our brands and our services?
Yeah.
And even now, we've noticed that there are some really obvious ones that we'll definitely stick to down the line, but there are some that we've invested in and gone, okay,
not quite work.
Yeah, we'll look at a different approach.
You don't know until you try.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think our approach is, we're just talking on the way down here this morning that, we're very laid back. We like to have a laugh, have good fun, but underneath that, we are deadly serious about what we do.
Yeah.
And, we take it personally. We're creators. Sometimes we cry ourselves into our Pantone pillows. But no, not as much. But, so we underlie the sort of this relaxed, casual, have a good laugh atmosphere, but we do take the job, is with deadly seriousness. Is having that serious ability to means that we can then just, relax.
Yeah, and I think when you're relaxed at work, that's when you do the best job.
Yeah. Yeah,
sure.
I think Frankie Goes Hollywood said a good thing about that.
Brilliant. Well, I think that pretty much ties up most of our questions now. I've just got a couple of last kind of quick fire questions for you before we wrap up. James. The first one being favourite place in Ely to go?
It's got to be bake shop, isn't it, for me?
I was going to say the same. As you said, the bake shop, I'll give a shout out to the Minster pub.
Oh, yes. Good
Lou and
point.
the team are, we always go down and watch rugby. They're very good for looking after us.
I've been to the Minster for a long time.
I do. It's good fun.
Yeah, bake shop's top of our list as well at the moment. They're definitely.
The pastries and the coffee in there are good. Yeah.
We held an event here on Saturday, and breakfast was catered by
nice.
them. It went down very well. I think people were more interested in coming here for the croissants than they were to actually get anything done. I think that covered their ticket price.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. And who are your biggest kind of creative inspirations right now?
Right now.
Other than yourselves, obviously.
Wow, yeah. Mine and Rob's desk do look opposite each other. So.
Yeah, I know. Peering over the parapet. Creative inspirations. Well, I'm a massive follower of music, if anyone knows me, and
no idea.
Music, yeah. So I think one person who I think is genuinely inspiring is a guy called Bob Villan, who I've seen 3 or 4 times over the last 5 years. Met him in a bar in London as well, a nice chat. And I think creativity-wise, I think artists who are using their medium to get messages over should be applauded, not derided. So I think anyone who raises their head above what their station is sometimes seen as, we should be doing that. But using their platform to get their personal message off, because, funny enough, it is the right to free speech, which politicians seem to, and certain parties who are so far right, they're on a different planet, seem to perceive that it's okay. So I think there's a lot of creative musicians in the world who are now embracing and doing it. And then, the classic line is that they're doing it for sales. It's not, so it's people who are doing something. So, so I would say creatively wise, I get it, and you know, but me, all my creativity would be bands at the moment that are doing stuff.
Yeah.
And how about you?
I'd say on a similar note, I mean, we're both into cooking a lot at the minute. I'd say probably creativity spans so many different things. Obviously, Rob's just touched on the music aspect. I mean, cooking. You know, I absolutely love cooking at home. And there's several, I mean, not TV chefs, but you know, like TikTok, Instagram people that are, you know, quite big at the minute. Probably from that point of view, to feed the creativity in from a different aspect. You know, not just within work, but with everyday life.
Yeah.
You know, sort of promoting you to try new things, try different things, cook from scratch, cook fresh. You know, whole foods, that sort of thing. So I think that's probably. At the minute, that's where I'm getting a lot of creativity from. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think I know the answer already to this one, but how do you guys unwind outside of work?
Yes.
The
mosh pit.
The mosh pit. Yeah. So I'm a frequent visitor to the mosh pit. Never knowingly
got the bruises to tell.
So we've got download in 3 weeks. So,
we call it the director's retreat.
I like that.
Yeah.
Have an AGM for
you.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And I think we're quite seasoned experienced at it. But no, I just like to be in the front, in the middle of the chaos, because in a way that's quite calming. Which might seem. I mean, sometimes I got quite a bit of music which is very extreme, as in quite loud, but to me it's just like white noise. It is actually quite calming. I mean, culminating last year, you know, we managed to get, you know, my daughter India on stage with Green Day.
I was going to say, how are you going to top that this year?
I don't think we can. That's unbeatable.
I don't know. There's got to be a plan somewhere. Well, fancy dress. I mean, fancy dress is always a thing that we do as well. So this year's fancy dresses should be funny. So, but they always are funny. I mean, I think.
That's the point, isn't it? It's blowing off steam, having fun. And
I think 2 years ago, I think we corpsed the basis of Offspring because we were Willy Wonka and Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
So I was obviously, you know, Willy Wonka and, you know, hat, wig, the whole lot, and then all the Oompa Loompas. So we were all crowd surfing at one point.
Yeah.
So the Oompa Loompas were being passed over, and then Willy Wonka was behind, looking very irate. So you've got to make them smile.
But I think that's something that Rob's definitely taught me over the years, is just to have fun and don't care what people think about it. Like you making an idiot of yourself.
Yeah, you're pretty about that, haven't you?
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So when we go to download, you know, we have fun. That's like 5 days camping. I mean, we're both used to camping anyway. I haven't come from scout backgrounds. So that doesn't faze us whatsoever. But yeah, you go out there, you have a laugh. It's 5 days in a field of just having pure fun.
And you're worried about, you know, the only thing that's important is where's the next band, where's the next drink. So and you meet so many good people. Not
necessarily in that order.
And you meet so many really, really, really good people, and you meet people every year now. So you start to. It is like. It is a weird little community.
Yes.
But it's so good, and everyone. It's the only festival I've been to quite a few, but everyone does look after each other. So that's how we unwind and go to gigs. We've done a lot.
We do lots of gigs.
Done a lot of gigs already this year.
Yes, I've bumped into a few gigs.
Yes,
exactly. Again, putting me to shame when I'm seeing you in the pit and I'm standing aside going, God, my back's killing me just standing here. So.
But again, I think that kind of comes back round to what we were talking about. Like we like to do gigs for the small artists, you know, supporting those small artists in a similar way to us being a small agency. We really value the fact that they're doing a service, you know, they're making music, they're playing music, they're selling tickets for like 15 quid.
Yeah.
Go and support them.
Yeah.
Go and support them, support the small venues. I mean, there's so many small venues around here. We've done several in Cambridge, Norwich, you know. It's like there's so much out there to just go and experience. You don't have to get in the mosh pit.
And a wide genre of music. We go to everything. So I'll be seeing Architects this year to go Loopy to. I like Spirit Box as well, but people won't know what they are. But also, you know, conversely, we saw an acoustic set by Alberta Cross and saw Father John Misty. So you know,
I dragged you to see Blossoms.
You did drag me to see Blossoms. You know, so. It's good. It's good to have that light and shade in music as well. Yeah. So sometimes I want a nice acoustic gig. I want to go and see like First Aid Kit, but then sometimes I want to go and see Turbo Wolf, and the name says it on the tin.
And again, I think we're in a very good place for that. When I grew up gigging in and around Cambridge, and it has a fantastic small venue.
Yeah.
It's not quite as maybe thriving as it was 15, 20 years ago, but I think it's coming back.
It's definitely coming back.
And it's like you say about ticket prices. I've got in my my office at home. I've got like a picture frame, and it's
Yeah.
got loads of previous gig tickets back when you used to get physical
Yeah,
tickets.
yeah.
And I'm looking at sold out shows at Wembley and paying £16 for it.
Exactly.
And then I went and saw
Bonkers, isn't
Deftones in February, and it was like £120.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's insane.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but everyone thinks they have to go to those big shows, but there's a lot of fantastic small
But actually,
shows.
I mean, we often have a better experience and a better vibe from the small ones. You know, where it's 50 to 100 people in a room just there to have fun.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got 6 you've got Portland. MASH is just opening.
MASH
up
is
as
good.
A
We've
as a
seen a
clever
few
little
MASH.
venue. So I saw Black Gold and Peng Shui there last week, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then we saw Creeper. I mean, come on, you don't get a band like that playing in a place like that.
Yeah,
It's
but it
just
was like
incredible.
last year we saw the band Battlesnake, didn't we? They'd come all the way from Australia. We saw them on the Thursday. It was like 12:30 in the afternoon, and it was just mad. And then we saw they were doing a small UK tour, so we ended up seeing them in
Voodoo Daddies in Norwich.
And it was like it's this underground little thing. There was 150 people, and we were doing the Wall of Death.
Yeah. And it's great seeing bands that you saw when there were those opening acts somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, like for instance, I saw a Canadian band called Fucked Up, and they were. I saw them at Reading in like 2008, and like, oh my god, they're going to be at. And I just thought I have to go. I cannot not go. I need someone to go. It's not Luke's. So I took India along, my daughter, and it's just like just to see an amazing band like that in a little place like that is sort of. Yeah, is rewarding. So obviously you go there and you buy the T-shirt, you buy 3 vinyls,
for the ever-growing collection.
For the ever-growing collection, smuggle.
But that's again coming back to what we've been talking about: music in a creative environment. Like there is never a time when we're in the studio that we won't have music on.
Yeah, same here.
It's
a completely different environment, but it's the same here. I cannot work without it. Basically.
Can't work in silence. Yeah. I mean, I remember one of my art teachers back at school, she'd always put classical music on because that was supposed to make you more creative. So it's like, even back from then, having worked within, doing fine art at school, that sort of fed right through to now that, I can't sit in silence.
I think I've got that on my spectrum as well. Weirdly, that the louder, the more aggressive the music, the more I can concentrate.
Well, I'm the same. Catherine hates it. She's like, "Oh, if I'm not in, you're going to play your."
Can you put your headphones on?
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, are you going to play your loud, shouty music today, or can we have some nice music for the customers?"
Yeah,
like,
classic
I'll put my
FM.
headphones on. But I find it depending on my mood and what I'm doing, it's very kind
it
of
dictates.
Yeah,
it
totally.
can massively affect your mood. You go home, you pop a good song on. You stick a Van Halen song on, and immediately you're always smiling, and the music's blaring out. You're thinking, great. So it does change that atmosphere. Obviously, I'm not going to drive home to Scott Walker because it's a different. It would take ages to get home.
Yeah,
probably via a lake.
Well, we could sit here and talk about music all day.
We could.
We could go on for a couple more hours.
We'll have to come back to do that. Yeah.
My last final question of the day is. People looking to kind of move up into the creative spaces, they're coming out of school, or they've had enough and they want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
What's that one piece of advice you would give someone looking to enter that creative world for the first time?
Find an agency or a company you want to work with and impress them.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. Make an effort.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from our experience, we put a job out last year, didn't we, for an apprenticeship. We had 140 applications over a 4-week period, which took time to go through.
Of course.
But we put on the job description, don't send us a CV. We don't, not that we don't care, but it's not particularly relevant to us.
It's not what you do, is it?
What grades you've got in your 11 GCSEs, where you've done work experience, blah, blah, blah. It's like, send us something to impress us.
And, again, Georgia is working for us today because she did precisely that in April.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this PDF arrives and a nicely well-written letter.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, so we pinged a message
back. It piqued
back.
our interest.
Yeah. And in 2 hours, she replied with a well-written letter back. And it was a bit like, okay, this is interesting. And then it's got us thinking. So she's potentially got a job because she's made an effort.
Yeah. We didn't actually even have a vacancy out at that time.
Oh, fantastic.
So fair credit to her. So which is what I think the job market is. Everyone thinks, oh, we can't. Make an effort. Or show you're making an effort. I mean, when I was sending out job adverts back in my day, I did one on an A1 bit of paper, massive. I did one screwed up and unscrewed to say this letter comes pre-screwed up to put in the bin if you don't like it. I did stuff where I'm printing on fluorescent paper, fluorescent envelopes. I mean, you name it. I did one as a ransom note. Do it. I mean, you've just got to stand out.
Yeah. And I think also don't stop creating, because it's like even if you're not in the environment, you're not in the industry or whatever, you're not doing the job, set a brief for yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. And your first communication to someone shows your creative, shows where you are. That is vital.
It's that first impression, isn't
You've got
it?
one impression.
Yeah.
You know, we're not gonna care what you did at school and what sort, you know, how many O levels, you know. So the first thing we see is the thing that we base our opinion
And
on.
I think that communication is key in every aspect of life. But you know, 50%, if not more, of what we do is about communication. It just making communication look pretty.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to do it.
It's simple, really.
Yeah. Make an effort.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Trademark
So,
that.
where can everyone find you now? Well, both physically and
in the bake shop,
in the Ethernet.
In 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, we'll be
in a field.
Yeah.
We'll be in a field near Birmingham Airport.
Yes.
So what outfits are they looking out for? Is that going to be a surprise reveal on the weekend?
Is it a surprise?
It's not really a surprise.
It's not really a surprise.
We're going to be about 11 Where's Wally's.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did we do the first year? That was Scooby-Doo, wasn't it?
Yeah, but my daughter decided to change it up. So the girls were boys and boys were girls.
Yes. So Rob was wearing his
purple dress
as
I think
Daphne.
I've seen these pictures.
Yeah, I was Velma. I had a wig on, and funnily enough, everybody thought it was my real hair.
Yeah. And
They compliment, sure.
Yeah.
the girls looked great. We looked awful.
We did. Awfully good.
Awfully good. But I'm quite fastidious. I literally I had tights, the dress on, the wig on all day, lipstick. I mean, there's no way that's coming off. It stays on because that's the costume.
Yeah. So that's what we did. That was the first year. The second year was the Willy Wonka and Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
Last year we were the cheerleaders, which I think is what actually helped India get on stage, because we had the pom-poms going right at the front of the stage when Green Day were playing, and I think that
we were 5 cheerleaders of the apocalypse.
Yes.
with 5 letters on the front of the shirts that we really can't say.
Yes.
But again, being very drama led. So this 5-letter word spelled out starts with a C, and we'll leave it at that. But when we walked around, we had to walk in formation. I had to tell the guys that we can't walk out in formation. We always need to walk around.
Always in formation.
So it spells. So we walked 5 abreast.
Yeah.
So this year's a bit simpler. We're
a bit more subdued, but we're all going to go for it.
Cool.
Yeah. Always.
But other than that, you can find us. Yes, you can find us online on our website. Obviously, we're on all the social channels and stuff.
Yeah.
Or out and about in Ely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
And, looking forward to seeing the pictures.
Yeah.
And, cheers, James, and congratulations. This is a fantastic setup.
Great.
I think you've done yourself proud. So the thing about running your own business, no one ever tells you that. So we're here to say well done. Fantastic work.
Thank you. I mean, I tell myself most days.
Yeah. But like we said, like we was talking about earlier, there's this. I think this sort of thing's been needed for a while in Ely, a co-working space where people can come and just,
done so well.
Yeah. We literally built it because we wanted somewhere to work.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, let's make somewhere that other people might hopefully want to come to.
Yeah.
It's a bit like sort of Field of Dreams, but workspace of dreams.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Coming to a field near you.
Got a lovely picture of Kevin Costner in the bathroom.
No, we lost on most people.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
No, appreciate it.
James.
Thanks very much.